You're listening to Systemic Error Podcast. The failure was designed.
Inside the Supreme Court's Death Wish for Americans, based on an article by Sabrina Hawk. The court just gave Trump the power to purge the state. A brief account, the Supreme Court, in a 6-3 partisan split, held in Trump v. Slaughter, that Trump can fire federal trade commissioners and other agency heads without cause. The ruling blows past longstanding precedent and statutes that had insulated independent agencies from partisan retaliation and from exactly the kind of donor-serving capture this decision now invites. Power, not procedure. This is not a housekeeping dispute about administrative law. It is a transfer of power. The Roberts Court has taken a set of agencies Congress deliberately designed to sit at least partly outside presidential whim and turned them into spoilage. The point of the Federal Trade Commission, the SEC, the SEC, and similar bodies was never to function as the president's personal staff. They exist because Congress understood that markets, health, communications, and safety cannot be regulated honestly if every decision is filtered through one politician's loyalty test. The court has now treated that safeguard as an inconvenience. The real decision maker, the ruling does not merely expand presidential authority in the abstract. It hands Trump a direct mechanism for punishing regulators who obstruct him and rewarding those who do not. That means political loyalty becomes the admission price for public power. The source material is explicit about the consequence. Trump's corporate donors can now choose their own regulators. That is the core of the story, not judicial refinement, not constitutional clarity. Capture. When a president can remove agency heads for resisting him, agencies stop being watchdogs and start becoming instruments of patronage. Independent becomes a dead word. So does expertise. The court's misdirection. The legal theater here is designed to hide the political fact. The court invokes take care language as though the president's duty to execute the law somehow authorizes him to ignore it. That is not constitutional interpretation in any serious sense. It is permission structure for an executive who already says Article Roman 2 gives him the right to do whatever I want. The opinion's real function is to launder raw domination through judicial vocabulary. It converts a power grab into a doctrine. It turns the destruction of statutory limits into a story about administrative efficiency, even as it strips Congress of relevance and hands the court itself more authority over scientific and technical questions it is not qualified to resolve. What gets broken? The practical fallout is not hypothetical. Over 24 agencies are affected. That includes institutions tied to financial markets, commodities, nuclear power, communications, workplace safety, clean air, soil, water, and public health. Once those bodies answer directly to Trump's political needs, enforcement becomes negotiable. A regulator who flags danger becomes expendable. A regulator who blesses contamination, consolidation, or predation survives. Under that system, the law does not vanish. It is repurposed for the benefit of the powerful. That is why the source's framing is strongest when it stops pretending this is about personnel and names what it is, a structural invitation to corruption. The court has not clarified presidential power. It has built a legal lane for self-dealing. The pattern. This ruling fits the larger authoritarian sequence already visible in Trump's politics: contempt for expertise, hostility to independent institutions, an open celebration of power untethered from accountability. The court did not stumble into this. It chose it. The deeper pattern is oligarchic governance through captured institutions. First, you discredit the state. Then you staff it with loyalists. Then you strip away the last mechanisms that could stop the conversion of public authority into private advantage. That is the actual story here. A court aligned with a lawless president has made the federal government more governable for donors, cronies, and political enforcers, and less governable for the public it is supposed to serve. You've been listening to Systemic Care. Thanks to Alternet for today's article. With the automated voice of Joe, thanks for listening.